Okay, so Mohonasen Athletics. My name's David Bertram. I come from Cooperstown down the road a little bit. What I want to do tonight is go through some points about me, where I come from, and where I am with Mohonasen Athletics, and then also highlight some Colonial Council information that we received over the course of the summer and this fall, and then talk with you and see if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to have. So, like I said, my name is David Bertram. While at Cooperstown, New York, I taught for 18 years from second grade through sixth grade. I moved to an athletic director my last 2 seasons there. During my time at Cooperstown, I coached basketball, tennis, cross country, track and field. I coached the boys basketball team for 16 years, making it to 2 Final Fours at Glens Falls, and coaching tennis for 18 years. In that time, we brought many players to the Flushing Meadows. That's where they held the New York State Championships. A little bit about my life. My family is the rock, as everybody would say, I guess. My wife, Bridget, teaches 3rd grade at Cooperstown, and she's my hiking buddy. I have a son, Tyler, who attends Binghamton University on a basketball scholarship, and a daughter, Josephine, who is currently a senior at Cooperstown and wants to become a Georgia Bulldog, of all places. The outdoors. I love the outdoors and adventures hiking. If you see the picture there down below in the middle, you can see that is up in Lake Placid, and that is called Balanced Rock. If you ever have an opportunity to get out and do some hiking up there, it's a must-see. Getting back into the classroom in the bottom right-hand picture is always fun, and I look for that opportunity here at Mohan as well. Last year, I was mummified by a 6th grade classroom. Mohan expectations. My philosophy has always been academics first. We will do everything possible to ensure our student athletes have continuous, rich learning experiences in the classroom and on the fields, courts, and pool. Visibility is a key for me. I love to be at all events, watching student athletes. I love being in the school and being visible at concerts, and whatever's going on, you will see me there. Getting the modified and JV varsity events will be a priority. We will provide that guidance. We will offer support in any ways possible and advocate for our student athletes through many different areas, such as social media, newspapers, and communicating with college coaches as needed. And as you can see below there, you can see our Mohonasen Athletics. Our Twitter page is at Mohan Sports. You'll be able to find a lot of information there as we go on through the season. Next one I take pride in. At Cooperstown, we always made an effort to support our community. When I started the interview process at Mohan, I was amazed at how similar our communities were in regards to servanthood. My son and I were fortunate enough to have the opportunity to collect food donations with our administrators during the summertime, and that was with the Hope Bus on the bottom left there. John Gallo, who's recently hired as our football coach in the top right, assisted in replacing the roof by the football field last week. And then coming up, we have a community event as well, where the football team is going to be working in a surrounding turf area to do a little facelifting. We're going to replace siding. We're going to put a fresh coat of paint on the buildings. And also, we've been talking to many programs who are actually not participating this fall, that setting up community work in a safe manner and getting out there is going to be a priority for everyone. Athlete recognition is really important as well. One point at Cooperstown, we recognized student athletes. It didn't have to be the best athlete or the best performance that grabbed our attention. Dave Austin set up a great program called the WOW program, and that was the Warrior of the Week. We will continue this program, but we'll also add in to the nomination process the 5 pillars. And our 5 pillars are going to be humility, passion, unity, servanthood, and thankfulness. I'm sure we'll have no problem finding many candidates for this award. The big question here, and if you know the answer to that, you can put it in our chat screen. Where is this picture from? Somewhere on campus. One goal that I have set for Mohan Sports is working and increasing the participation numbers of our programs. There are several ways that we're going to approach this. First, we're creating a student athletic council, which is already underway. This group is going to be the voice of our programs and represent our student athletes. Through them, we will brainstorm ideas to get more involved in the elementary schools and community youth programs. We look forward to having our first Night of the Warrior. This was going to be done last year in the spring. Unfortunately, we had to move that. It is going to be at the elementary schools this spring, hopefully. Fingers crossed. This is a great way for our programs to showcase their sport, their athletes, and interact with our young warriors. Hashtag Mohan Proud. I mean, once we go back to the screen where you can see my office, I have a new sign behind me that was great. Mr. Chandler gave me a heads up on who makes them, and we added that to there. So Mohan Proud has been a stamp for me ever since I stepped foot on this campus. How do we represent our school in the classroom, in the community, on the fields and courts, during practices, and or competitions? Are we Mohan Proud? Are we representing? Are we following the 5 pillars of humility, passion, unity, servanthood, and thankfulness? And I'm going to continue to harp on those with our coaches and with our student athletes. Respect is earned. We talk about respect all the time. We will continue to hold student athletes to the highest standard. It's with respecting, first, our teachers, coaches, players and visitors, referees, spectators, and the game that they play. This is in victory and defeat. Sometimes those are life learning lessons that we have to teach and learn from. The big question I have is, what role do you play? Each coach, player, and parent can reflect on these questions. Are we the person that creates a negative or positive atmosphere? Do we complain or do we compliment? Do we criticize or do we encourage? I saw a tweet the other day that struck a chord with me. It talked about parents trying to analyze and critique their child's performances night in and night out. I was that parent. The tweet went on to go, the next time you watch your child play a contest, tell them, I love watching you play. I love watching you play. And leave it at that. All of us at Mohan will do everything possible to offer to our student athletes a rich experience that is filled with lifelong lessons and memories. And what I'm going to do is try to get back to you. Can everybody see me now? Okay. All right. So along with my presentation, I have our mask sales, which are pretty awesome right now. We have face masks and gaiters for sale for our student athletes and anybody else within the buildings, outside the buildings in our community. Next, what I wanted to do is just talk about some guidelines that have come across with our Colonial Council. Now, we are well aware that at this point right now, only low-risk sports are participating this fall. So our low-risk sports are golf and girls tennis. And the Colonial Council voted on this last Friday, and we had to put out the disappointing news that we are going to have to move our other fall sports to the Fall 2 season. The Fall 2 season is going to be March 1st to April 30th. And in that time period, the sports will be cross country, girls swim, girls and boys soccer, football, competitive cheer, and girls volleyball. So that's a lot that we'll be putting in there in that time period. The winter, at this point, we really do not know what's going on with winter yet. We're waiting for guidance. That'll be a word that I say quite a bit, guidance, from the New York State DOH and the New York State Public High School Athletic Association. Once they give us guidance of what we're going to do with the winter season, we can progress forward with our Colonial Council in Section 2. Okay. So on the right-hand side there, I believe you still see this. There's a lot of information here. I highlighted a few aspects that I'd like to talk about. We'll be starting OSTs. OST means off-season training. And a lot of our coaches are going to start doing that with our student athletes. And those are soccer, girls and boys. We're going to be doing youth, modified, JV, and varsity. And also our varsity program is going to work with the modified JV and varsity 2 or 3 times a week. So those are called OSTs. So in general, all athletes and coaches traveling to another district will be screened. This will happen as well with our OSTs. When student athletes arrive on campus, they're going to be screened by temperature taking, and they also should have taken their attestation test to get into school. If they are remote, they will be required to take that attestation before they're allowed to participate. And if that's not the case, then we could do a pencil and paper for them as well. Coaches and event personnel will be required to wear face masking at all times. So the safety comes first. And we are going to require anybody who's around our student athletes to be masked up. We will ensure that our athletic facilities are being cleaned at all times. Coaches will be responsible for cleaning all equipment that is being used, and we will supply those cleaning materials for them. The next one down below is the athletes. So according to the DOH guidance, responsible parties must ensure the distance of at least 6 feet is maintained among individuals at all times, whether indoors or outdoors, unless safety or the core activity requires a shorter distance. If a shorter distance is required, individuals must wear face coverings, unless players are not able to tolerate that. So here we are requesting student athletes wear masking at all times when they're participating in golf, in tennis, and then also as they're doing their OST, their off-season training. If student athletes have trouble with them, they will communicate with our coaches, and then we will make sure that they're able to get a mask break off to the side. Athletes are not able to do hugging, high fives, handshakes, or fist bumps. And this will happen with coaches too, because a lot of times you see coaches doing that as well. Athletes who are not feeling well are requested to stay home. And one thing that's not on here that I think we need to add is that we need to bring a water bottle that is labeled with the athlete's name on there, because we're not sharing any sorts of equipment, clothing, or water bottles. If we move down to the coaches, like I said earlier, will be wearing face masks at all times. They will be following the cleaning protocols and supplies and equipment as guided by the DOH and NISFA. They'll communicate guidelines and expectations in a clear manner. Yeah, I think this is really important. I had a coaches meeting last week, and this is all different to everyone, parents, coaches, and athletes. So we need to educate everybody on the proper guidance and follow those protocols that were set forth by the DOH and NISFA. And then also considering cohorts, we talked quite a bit about separating those student athletes so they're in smaller groups. So if something does happen, we're able to contact trace a lot easier as well. Parents, they're encouraged to, encouraging the student athlete to wash their hands as much as possible, taking a shower right after they get done with the event when they get home, cleaning and disinfecting clothing. A lot of times student athletes don't like to clean their clothes. We're going to ask to do that as much as possible, and providing water bottles and things like that for the student athlete. So that is pretty much the guidance that I have for our Colonial Council. I am going to see if I can get off. There we are. Okay. Of that presentation. Right now I'm looking at our chat room, and I'm trying to see if there's any questions yet. If you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat so I can see them. Other ways of communication that will happen throughout the course of the season is we'll have preseason coaches meetings. These will take place before each season. Meet the coaches night. This was a difficult one this fall, as we really didn't have the guidance that we were going forward, and then having our season canceled and moved on that Friday made it really tough to make this happen. Also, our athletic website. You could go to our Mohan website, and on the athletics part about it, you'll be able to read up on any updates and find our calendar, which is the Our School Today, and also signing up for the winter season coming up through Family ID. I got a question. Okay, we're going to move to questions. Will the pool be open for off-season training for swimming? Yes, it will be. We are waiting for a little more guidance on that. We're making sure that we have the pool cleaned and disinfected, and that we have all our guidance and protocols in place before we start that. So yes, we are looking to start OSTs with swimming as well. Great question. Any other questions at this time? Well, I'm really excited to start here at Mohonasen. It's been a lot of fun so far. I've created a lot of connections and contacts and met so many wonderful, great people already. And hopefully we'll get a chance to meet at some time soon. I look forward to that. I look forward to working with our student athletes. I know this fall is we're a little handcuffed right now, but I'm excited to see our soccer and football and swimmers get onto the fields next week for practices and OSTs. With that being said, I don't see any other questions here. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to stop recording.